we are going to honor our promise by discussing what we discussed last week. We said that we're going to continue this discussion today. Some councillors actually got to me. None indicated interest to want to be part of today's edition of the program. Anyway, if anytime they you make up your mind as a councillor and want to be part of the program, I will gladly receive you people. We are going to be looking at how our wrong choices in educational orientation has rendered many jobless. Part 2. Can we change half there to has? Yes, can we change it? There should be something. That half is not supposed to be there. But we are looking at part 2 of what we discussed last week with our panelists who are there already. Mr. Buji Liansin is in the house with us. He is the marketing director of Tex Global. We're glad to have him.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, televiewers. It's Friday again, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us to share. And congratulations for those who made it in the GCE at the ordinary and advanced level. So this topic today is timely. I am sure you should invite your friends. If you are watching us, you should invite your friends, invite your children, so you can watch and tap some knowledge and see which direction to take ahead.
Okay, we also in the company of Mr. Musima Martin. Yes, Musima Martin. He is a business coach, taking part on Prime Hour for the first time. Good evening, welcome.
Yeah, good evening, and it's a lovely time to be here on Prime Hour. And like Coach Buji rightly said, this is actually timely because this is when persons get to talk about education, have the opportunity to make something out of their lives, and of course make decisions which may get to affect their lives in the next, let's say, in the next 2-3 years, or in the next lifetime, depending on what you get to choose.
We also are in the company of Mr. Neba Paul. He is an ambassador of Audacity Success. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's always a pleasure for me to be here on Saturday. Every Saturday, I'm always very excited. And this one, every Friday, oh my God, every Friday. And this one is a very special Friday because last week we discussed career orientation, and the GCE came out within the week. And now I know so many people are watching. My good friend and mentor, Galaxy J1, will always say, your last success is your greatest enemy. Because if you stay so much in that glory, you might forget to take the right next step. So open your eyes, stay glued to your TV as we discuss this evening.
Okay, we also in the company of Mr. Musima Marvin. He is a personal coach, also taking part on today's on Prime Hour for the first time.
Yeah, good evening, and it's really nice being here for the very first time. Congratulations to all those who made it for the GC ordinary and advanced level. And for those who didn't make it, it's not the end of life, and there is always next year. So, but it's a privilege being here, especially with what we have at hand, because I believe educational orientation is definitely something we need to look into as Cameroonians if we are thinking of moving ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Buji, let's start with GC. It just came out there. Yeah. I'm sure many persons are confused. They don't. We don't know what to study. Maybe we admired somebody in the quarters and we think that, oh, he read banking and finance, so I should go do it. So that one will say, oh, this guy did history and he talks so well in the quarter, so I will go and do history. Many persons are confused now.
Yes, Mr. Leo, after the jubilation and a lot of celebrations, people had to go back and face the reality. Now that is when most Cameroonians, most candidates are asking the question, what do I do with these results? But this is not the time that that question was supposed to be asked. What if you realize that you could become a doctor, but all the stakes, what you have in front of you is showing that the only thing you can do, maybe you can become an accountant. So after those who are celebrating, some who did not make it, they are crying because they did not make it. There is another problem because people do not know where do I move from here. I now have the results. Maybe I have the 4 papers. I have the 11 papers, but inside it, without actually a combination, even as you have it. So it's a time that is actually challenging because issues like poor orientation took place, we have not given the importance of this topic today that it deserves in this country. So our educational system actually pushed this very important fundamental element out of it, and that's why the question is, many youths are worried about their futures at this moment, because looking at what do I do with the results that I have, it's another problem in itself. It's like preparing for another examination. But what I will say is, when you realize that there is a problem, then you are halfway through a solution to that problem. Until you realize that you need a solution to a problem, then you will never even know that you have a problem. If not, you will definitely continue, you move ahead, and you end up being unemployable, despite the fact that you end with the certificates. At the end of the day, what do you have to attach to the certificate? What certificate do you want to have so that it can render you helpful to yourself and your family, your friends, your nation, and the whole world? So those are things that we will have to be looking at.
Okay, we are going to be looking at this, Mr. Musima. Students are graduated. He's raised the issue that they are more confused now because they were not even prepared for what to come after the GC.
Yeah. Now, I, for one, am one of the persons who faced that kind of scenario while I was growing up. And one of the things I noticed going to school was the fact that many of us get to learn things that may not be relevant. Now, it's very typical for you to go through school, you get to pass some subject, and of course your future is determined or based on what you've already gotten from your ordinary or especially at the advanced level going into the university. Now, once you get to study some things, it becomes irrelevant because we live in a society where, or in a world which is fast changing, and the key to you getting to succeed when it comes to the job market is acquiring high income skills. And getting to acquire these high income skills most of the times does not really get to come from what you get to study in school per se. So you may study something else in school and you find yourself doing something else because you had poor orientation. But meanwhile, if you were properly oriented before you get into the job market or before you get into the university level, you'd get to see that you can acquire these high income skills and you become valuable to a society. Now, also, we live in a society where, of course, I call it the performance economy, where people get to pay you for what service or what particular thing you can render to them per hour. That means in the Western world today, you will never see anybody getting to pay you or just getting to sit and they pay you a salary for just sitting around. No, you should be able to be productive when it comes to that. And of course, with these things which we're going to dissect today, it may get to help maybe a person or two to get to see that into just, it's not only about just getting the certificate, but to be able to fine-tune what you're going to study and to see how it's going to affect your world directly.
Mr. Neba, yes. Have you gotten to some of the successful candidates already? What are they telling you?
Yes, truth be told, I was in connection with so many before the results came out, and sincerely, they are somehow, I was doing accounting, but now I want to do marketing. My question is always why. I was doing accounting, now I want to go and do law. I want to go do political science, and I want to do this. I want to do this. I think I should write a concours. My question is why, and from the way I ask them, the way they discuss, I understand that they are just focused on money. They are focused on getting money at the end of the day, and they don't understand that money comes from something. They don't understand that they are supposed to be focusing on what can make them more valuable, so much so that they can attract money at every point in time. They're focused on maybe looking around in their environment and they're seeing that, okay, this is what is making money at this time, maybe let me focus on that. So somehow they are a bit lost. But from those I interacted with, from my questioning and answer sessions with them, they were able to find their way. Because if you can't understand why today, tomorrow it might be a problem to you, because you might start asking your why and understanding it, but when you have found yourself in the wrong direction. Mr. Teke will always say that if you have intentions of moving to Boya and you see yourself in Yasa going to Yaoundé, the exact thing that you do is that you turn your car and you head towards Boya, because if no matter how long you spend on your way to Yassa, towards Yassa, you'll never reach Boya. But if you turn and you're coming back towards Ndokoti and Bonaberi, you certainly reach Boya. So in the course of us discussing, they realized certain things, certain questions that they did not ask themselves over time. But somehow, after the last program, a lot of councillors, they showed interest. They showed interest and they reacted. I personally got some councillors that I know for them to like show up for this program, but somehow they played low, which I got so I felt the type, because I want to think that the responsibility is not only to sit in the class or to work in the school campus, but wherever they are, when you have a duty like as such, whenever you find yourself the opportunity to reach out to perform that particular service, you don't turn it down, because it's the same mentality that the students are coming up with, where they are focusing on money. I don't want to think that these people were thinking, because I'll go and talk on this TV, I'm not going to make money out of it. Why? Where I work, they pay me. I don't want to think like that. But I'm telling students who are watching us now that don't focus on money, focus on value. Can you actually, as he rightly said, we are in the value economy where you only get something, get money where you provide something. You focus on money, at the end of the day you never have money. Like, let me say you are chasing 10,000 francs and you reach at wrong point they do, and 5,000 runs to Aqua, and the next 5,000 is heading towards Bonamosadi. You are going to be lost. That's the same thing that happens to students. When they are putting their eyes on money, they ignore the fact that the money is supposed to be attracted to them, depending on the value that they create for themselves, not them chasing money. But in the course of the time, I think this program is doing a lot, because many when I did not know that some were following, but when the exams came out, they reached out to me saying that this was my focus. And when I watched you guys last week and the exams came out, I found myself in a position to rethink and ask questions about the decisions I was already taking. Because in my life, I have never had the opportunity to ask myself questions. It's either my mother is telling me to do this, or if I see a friend that is going to Boya and I want to go to Boya, because I've been hearing wonderful stories about Boya. So I'm just happy because they want to stay away from their parents. They want to go out of the house for the first time. That excitement, it hits every young person. But truth be told, life is not very free as we think. Like, okay.
Mr. Musima, Marvin, yes, at this juncture where students have succeeded at the level of not just advanced level, because it starts with the ordinary levels, because it is at this level that you decide what to do at the advanced level, and subsequently, now that they have succeeded, what should actually take place now?
All right. On this, I would put myself first as a Cameroonian and somebody who has been through this process. But as a personal development coach, I came to understand the aspect about what the role we have to play. So it is really not just about the educational system and the counselors and everything, but as Mr. Paul actually just talked about, value is very important. So the first thing we look at is value, but it's not just about value, because if something is valuable and you're not passionate towards it, then it doesn't have value to you. So it's not just about the value we offer, but the value we appreciate. And as of this level, I would like to get back into the audience, those who are actually watching us right now on TV, to tell the family, because I believe the smallest unit of every nation is the family. So I think it is a responsibility of the Cameroonian family to help in this process of orientation. If we can orient our children to actually go towards value-oriented jobs or skills or educational sectors which they are passionate about, then it will really go a long way to help the problem which we are facing out there. So for all the candidates of the GC ordinary and advanced level, I would want to tell you this: if Moses can't come to the mountain, then the mountain should definitely go to Moses. If your parents can't really sit you down to give you this education, then I believe it is high time you sit with your father and your mother, and as a family, ask them, what am I going to do and how is this to benefit me? Now, the counselors may fail in their jobs and this may affect the future of these children, but I believe us as their family members, it definitely affects us even more.
So this is a time where families should come together. And you ask yourself, be candid, because one of the problems we also face when it comes to the aspect of the family is we have parents that want their children to live their dreams. We have parents that, because I wanted to be a medical doctor and I could not be a medical doctor, now I want to superimpose that on the life of my child. And those are the things which actually make children, you see a child which is probably good at arts, but because the father is pressuring that child to become a doctor, decides to do sciences. And then we start seeing a problem maybe at the level of the university education and all that. And we also face that a lot when it comes even to the advanced level. Now, we see families which, rather than support the child to do what the child is passionate about, we want to give into maybe what we think is more popularly accepted in the society. So what I think should be happening right now in our homes is a family discussion between the child and the family to discuss the future of that child based on the passion which, or things which the child is passionate about, and definitely things which we think will be profitable for these children in future.
There is something. Many of us who go to school and who've graduated either university or advanced level, majority have families out of the country, in the US. Okay. Is there an impact in what we finally become? Because almost everybody who has a family somewhere, they tell you, go and do this because when you come, you can easily fit yourself. You go do this because at the end of the day, majority end up not going. Oh. Is that not also something that is actually disorienting many persons?
Of course, Mr. Leo. It just goes back to almost the like of a father trying to live their dream through their child. Now today, we are family, and tomorrow I'm in Europe, I'm in America. You wanted to become a journalist. Now in America, I want you to become a nurse because that's the opportunity that is there. That's not actually what your natural capabilities are. Now I say, Mr. Lewis, you're going to school, make sure
you do science.
You do sciences. At the end of the day, whose choice is that? What are things that happen? You have people who are studying. They say, but what are your dreams? They tell that my dream is to, after this, my elder brother said that I should, after my advanced level, I will travel. They spend their life preparing for travel, not actually preparing for the future.
Yeah, but many end up not going.
Of course, anything can happen. It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. So all this happens because there is no, and people do not know what they actually have to become. Mind you, going abroad doesn't make you an expert in deciding careers and jobs for people. At the end of the day, going abroad is also like, some people have gone abroad because they are frustrated with the system. After you've looked for a job, it is not. Why? Because your orientation was the wrong one. You come out and you realize that you are unemployable. Mr. Liu, the issue is that if you want to talk about the typical real unemployment in Cameroon, as per people not having jobs, that's not actually the real reality. The reality is that people are not qualified to have these jobs. That is why
they are not employable.
Yes, they're not employable. They have certificates, but they're not employable. Because at the end of the day, I still say my experience every day is people come in and say, I need a job. The question is, what can you do? When someone tells me anything, it sends a signal. You did not prepare to become something. That's why you just want anything. If you're coming with an application file to my media prime, what you have to do is, I want to be a journalist, I want to be a sound engineer, I want to be a cameraman. You should be specific. And you cannot say you want to be a cameraman when you don't have the skills. Because definitely in media schools, those things are taught. And you cannot go and you are trained, or you come out with a certificate as a journalist or as a sound engineer, and you're doing and you anchor the news. It will not go. So it boils to the fact that there have to be a discussion, and those who are knowledgeable have to actually help the people who are not capable of making this decision to take the right decision. And rightly, it starts from the family. if at the end of the day, the family, I always say the family invest, like in Cameroon, it's always that education is an investment. We should know that the end product of an investment should be able to bear some positive results.
Okay. This is Mr. Njito. It's right, Pa Njito, writing from Boom. I see your message. It says, Mr. Liu, I really need your concern. Assistance concerning journalism sector. My sister is insisting to me that she wants to be a journalist. So with this program today, I really need your help, because I know Panjito, can you just call me after the program? Oh no, best call me tomorrow as from 10 a.m. Call me and let me know what your sister actually wants. If it's possible, I may also help her. Good evening, it's Mirabel from Yaoundé. I like this program. My sister's child passed the advanced level, chemistry and biology and geology. What do you think he can do? Because he is somehow confused. There are numbers under your screen. Can you call the numbers? Will help you. Now, we are talking about persons who are out of the country actually telling persons what they ought to do. Have you seen cases where people end up frustrated? They are talked out of their dreams because they were made to understand that you travel. Many persons see traveling as a course now, or a project. Yeah.
I would like to actually comment on that and also try to debunk that Cameroonian mentality to see that there's salvation only in travel.
Okay.
Now, I have been opportune to travel. I've been to more than 6 countries in the world. And the honest truth is, you would go to countries where you think that actually they are first and second world countries, and you still see people begging in the streets. Now, I always say this: a lizard in Cameroon can never be a crocodile in the United States of America. Now, you can quote me anywhere, any day. If you're a lazy person in Cameroon, you will still go out there and you will still be lazy. Now, what I'm saying in essence is, if you're the kind of person who feel that let's say from your other persons and all the rest, you've gotten that encouragement to say that you're traveling and all your life should be based on travel, that's a big mistake. Because the scope of that person who is, let's say, maybe in the US or maybe in Britain, he's looking at their environment and looking at what is relevant in their society, and forgetting about what is relevant at home. That means there is a possibility that you may travel and may not travel. And if that may not happen, when you have acquired high income skills which are only relevant in the developed world, you'll be frustrated in Cameroon. And that leads to many persons becoming jobless here. Now, but if you acquire skills which are relevant in a developing society like Cameroon, you would see that whether you remain here or you still get to eventually travel, you will still be relevant in the society either way. So my best advice to young persons who are growing up, especially those who are leaving the advanced level, now, you should get a skill that should make you employable, whether in Cameroon or anywhere. And also, you should be able to create a job even if you don't have it. Because in Cameroon today, you will notice that we don't need, Cameroon society as at now does not only need persons who are seeking for job, they also need job creators. And there are fields that if you go into, you'll be able to create a job, not only for yourself, but for other persons around you. For example, the computer world is vast. And of course, the good part is you can do it offshore or there. That means, I know I have friends who work, they're computer engineers, they work from Cameroon for companies in the United States. There's so many persons. And you look at these guys and you just see them walking around with a laptop and you so assume that these guys are scammers. But of course, these guys have been able to develop these high income skills. Most of them are computer engineers. They studied in our universities here, and they work for companies who are employing them from abroad, and they pay them in dollars. Now, these guys have their video conferencing meetings and all the rest as if they are abroad, but they're in Cameroon. So why don't you go for those kind of skills? Now, when it comes to the mentality that only science students succeed, that's also poor. Because there are fields in the art sector that if somebody who does painting can sell a paint that is a good portrait they made for $1 million, but a scientist may never get to have that kind of amount of money, even if you're a doctor, just at one blow. So there are different skills. So you should be able to find your niche, find where you're comfortable, and like Mr. Marvin said a few minutes ago, find the thing that you love and that gives you value as a person. That you know that whether you're making money out of it or you're not making money out of it, you're comfortable and happy doing it.
Okay, Mr. Neva, you said many persons got to you after the results were released. What did you tell them?
Well, I told them, if you, the first thing is that I asked their why. You know, I get to interact with them. I played ignorant, you know. I like, why do you want to study this? My mother said I should do this. My elder brother said I should do this. I would really like to move out of the house, you know. All the time I've stayed with my parents. I want to go out there, you know. My best friend says she's going to study in Yaoundé, so I want to change town. You know, when you start getting all those particular reactions, you now understand that this person is not yet understanding that life is supposed to be something that you actually stand out, not fit in. You know, not chase your friends because they are going to Boya. You now chase them to Boya just because you've been seeing your other sisters who are in Boya on social media and they are looking so good. Your friends, your other brothers in Boya are looking so good. I want to go to Boya. At the end of the day, I had to bring them to reasoning. I asked them a couple of questions, especially in relation to technology. You know, they have advanced level. I was like, okay, can you handle Microsoft Office? One of them asked me, what's Microsoft Office? That's somebody who is having advanced level. What's Microsoft Office? I said, okay, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. Can you handle Microsoft Word? I have an idea, but can you handle Microsoft Excel? No, I don't. All right. When it comes to social media and other digital tools, like Mr. Martin just said, people are here working overseas and they are using digital tools to communicate with companies overseas and they are delivering value and making money. Do you know how to handle these digital tools? Have you ever communicated on Zoom? Do you understand how it works? No. Those things are used in companies now. When I will go to companies, I will now know how to use it. I said, now you see, you are chasing the crowd to a destination where you don't have a clue about it, and you're not even asking questions just because you have that excitement. Yes, you have passed your exams. Yes, but truth be told, where you are going to might not necessarily be the last end, because when you reach there, your friend will separate from you. Maybe because your friend is going there and the father is somewhere, and when they will graduate from the university, they will take them and put in one position, and you will be dumbfounded. Why? Because you have studied something that maybe workers are not needed again in that domain. Just like Mr. Bucci said, you have somebody come to you and say, I want to do anything. A graduate, it reduces the value of our education, because somebody who studies through school should be able to come out and propose solutions, not he who comes out with all the investment. I call it investment because education is an investment. With all the investment in you, you come out and you stand in front of an employer. I tell that employer that I want anything. When you say that, that's a complete turn off for any employer. It means that you are indirectly the person that if I employ you, you are not going to provide any value for me, or you are going to provide any value, and because I've had a contract with you, I should pay you because you provide any value. No, employers are so keen about figures. When they are employing you, they are considering, they're looking at how much you are going to contribute to their balance sheet, to their turnover. They are not employing you because you are beautiful, you are handsome, or you were the first in your class. That is not important, my dear friend. What is important is, what can you bring on the table? If we bring you in, this issue of low sales that we're having, can you handle it? If we bring you in, this production line that was slow, can you accelerate it? If we bring you in, can we gain new markets? Those are the questions that employers ask for employing. They don't employ you for any other reason. They are looking on how they are spending 10,000 like salary. You should be able to bring them 50,000. And if you are not able to fit in that square, they are not going to employ you, and you go around thinking that, okay, this person doesn't like me. Okay. There are no emotions when it comes to business. So I'm urging you to think and ask several whys before you take the next step.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leonard and Leonard panelists. What the youth in our country needs is to have a creative mind, not always job seekers. Orientation is the key. Mr. Ngek Desmond is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Mr. Desmond. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I am Madam Chop. Your program is wonderful. My daughter just obtained her advanced level with her specialty marketing. Can your panel me orientate her on what she can read in the university? Please, can you just call the numbers under your screen, and I'm sure you'll be given some directives after discussing with you. Mr. Marvin, we get confused at the level of Form Cipher. We really do not know what to do, and after obtaining the advanced level also, we get more confused, because at that level you are defining how your future is going to look like. How soon should orientation effectively commence for a student?
All right.
I'm talking about career. You guys are career coach. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the aspect about orientation and where it starts, I would precise again, because I believe repetition builds character, passion and value. Now, when we look at these things, you get to understand it is never too early to start orientation. And orientation is not, it's, remember, we are dealing with another individual here. You're dealing with another person. So you cannot superimpose what you think or what you believe at that level. When we talk about value, we talk about what you're bringing to the table because of your view about the society, like what the other panelists were talking about. What is valuable in this economy? What does Cameroon need? Like somebody, the person that just sent a message spoke about entrepreneurship. Now, the truth about it is we cry there are no jobs in Cameroon, and we say there is no money in Cameroon, but people are getting married every day. People are building houses. People are buying cars. We say, no, we want to travel abroad because we believe it's the better way, but there are still a lot of people making it in the country. So as it has been said already, it is just about our mindsets. It is just about how we choose to look at the world. Because we see a lot of Europeans, we see a lot of Westerners which come to Africa because they believe this is where the market is. But we see us going there. And it's a common phenomenon where we get to understand that it is okay for an average Cameroonian to travel out and have 2 jobs, to travel out and study something and decide to have maybe 2, 3 different degrees because the person wants to get something credible and so on. But when it comes to Cameroon, that flexibility is not there. We become so lackadaisical about everything, and we choose to blame the society, we choose to blame the economy we find ourselves in. And as I said, this is something that comes from childhood. When we tell people, Massa, le pays va mal, the country is not good, is that. So we have come to be oriented to think that we can only succeed out of Cameroon, to think that there is no hope in the country. But as I said, it is the duty of the family. So it starts with you as the father, being the head of a family. Now, there must have been those wrongs at your time. But if you're listening to us now, what you start telling yourself is, what happens after today? I would want you to have a paradigm shift, a change of mindset. If somebody can get an epiphany from what is going on here, and you tell yourself, it is simple, 2 things, passion and value. When it comes to passion, you're seeing your tribe growing up. What is this child geared towards? Now we start seeing those children you have at home, they break things, they want to see the remote, they want to open this and see what works and what works, and you start telling yourself this child is geared towards electronics, electrical skills. You see a child which, a young child of about 3 years old, can on your phone go on YouTube. There are even those children which you see them, they are more friendly to electronics even than their parents. Now you start telling yourself, what can this one be? Some children love machines, laptops, okay, fine and good. Web developer, graphic designer, there is an art of the child loves to draw and so on, a painter. So this is how it starts. Now you orient your child from what the child is actually passionate about. Then you look for the passion in the child and find what fits in the society, which is profitable, which is valuable. And those are the 2 keys. So if you take the component of passion from the child, and you as the parent, you bring the component of value, and you bring these 2 things together, then I believe it will give a solution to this problem.
Yeah, but is it not also because parent-child relationship today is a little bit complicated? We hardly really take time to observe our children.
Yeah, definitely. We have that problem, but I would say we are more opportune than most because, yes, there is a problem, but according to the Western world, we can't compare. Africa, we live more as a family than the Westerners. So if the Westerners can still have this time, it does not take you a lifetime to know what your child is good at. Every father knows the child. So to a certain level, it takes an intuition. It takes you observing the child, not every day, but from what you think the child has been doing, seeing the child grow up, you must know that, okay, this child loves this or this child loves this. And as I said, by the time you're in Form 5 or opposite, I think as a child at that level, if you can write the GC and pass, then you can be able to call your father down and talk to your father. It's about your family. Now, I also want the average Cameroonian child to be matured enough. We are not living in the times of our parents. They send us to school to be more informed, to know more. And the society is changing. Some of our parents are not aware of this change. So you are not small to put your father down, daddy, mommy, elder sister. You can even speak to your elder sister, your elder brother, your aunties, which are seeing the same reality as you, to call a family meeting. And you tell your father, this is it, I've passed. This is what I want to do, but what do you people think? So if the father cannot call the meeting, then I think it is for the children to call the meeting towards their fathers. If Moses can't go to the mountain, then the mountain should come to Moses in this case. It is your future we are talking about here.
Okay, this is your future we're talking about. Tagen Donatien says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Let all Cameroonians go to the farm. We need food. I love your traditional regalia and the country cap. Tagen Donatien writing from, good evening to you. But we are talking about wrong educational orientation. Are we not talking about the wrong mindset that is planted? It comes back to the mindset. A wrong mindset that is imputed into the children at the basic and secondary university levels. That mindset, as you go to school to study history, to study whatever, what do you see yourself accomplishing in this? That is, what values do you see? And there is this mindset, and it is an orientation that you are going to school, and the only place where you can succeed is out of Cameroon.
Mr.
It's a mindset.
Yes. Mr. Leo, they say one thing that people even pray against, that is more than an obstacle, is having a type of a wrong mindset towards something. If you notice, there is no person that has come here under text group and spoken without mentioning the word mindset. Because I would say for sure, mindset definitely separates the rest from the best, or the best from the rest. Without you having a type of mindset of the possibilities, you can never achieve what you actually desire to become. So, nothing, like Mr. Teke, when he talks about mindset, he goes with ideas. Like he says, everything you see starts in the mind. Everything you see starts in the mind. Just as he said, when you're observing children, when you're telling the children, when you're telling your children that nothing good can come from Cameroon, nothing good can come from a black man, you are already telling them, you plant it in their subconscious. They grew up with these things and they manifest it. So at the end of the day, what communication do you have? So who do your children talk to? What type of TV programs do they watch? Because mind you, what the type of family series or the rest that you watch, they share the values of the family.
Yeah, because last week we were just bashing the counselors for not doing their job. But we are talking about the orientation that should give children the focus to succeed in life. And we are talking about, you must succeed out there. Once you keep telling the child that this person has constructed a house from this person has that, instead of using the examples of those who are also succeeding,
those things are very common, especially citing success stories around your neighborhood about, you don't even know what somebody's child is doing abroad. Is the person a drug dealer? What are they doing? But you just want that to associate success. You want to associate their success. If your child does this, this is the outcome. But we are living in times that many things have changed, and if your parents have not adapted to what is happening, then you need to actually start moving towards that direction. Come to think of it, I have happened to talk to some councillors, and the problem why some of them cannot come here is that what is happening, that where the type of orientation that they have is towards the old setting, or the time has also passed. Because if you will have to orientate students now, you need to understand what is working out there, what is actually happening, what does the society needs, so that you don't go orientating them on the things that you cannot be orientating somebody who should become a typist today when typewriters are no longer, they're already obsolete for me, because I can't remember the last time I used I saw it. You see, they're already obsolete. So if you as a counselor or as an educational consultant, if your knowledge is limited to what's happening now, I always say, if you are talking and you don't talk about the fourth industrial revolution, which is driven by data, is driven by technology, you have artificial intelligence, you have robotics, you have so we have a lot of things around. So you must be able to update. You cannot give what you don't have.
Okay, you can't give what you don't have. So also tell the children that they can make it, because other persons are making it in Cameroon. So there are so many possibilities. There are people who are succeeding in Cameroon. What can a child who has the advanced level commercial do in order not to do in the university, because she is very confused, and those might number the option to choose from available option. Okay, the message is not too clear, but you can just call the numbers down there. But also you can, there are counselors out there. You can still meet the counselors that will help you out. This one says, like one panelist just said, we need a paradigm shift, because Africa is indirectly going through mental slavery, where children believe that it's only the white man that has something good to offer. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and good things to everyone in the studio, especially to Mr. Niva. One thing we should consider is that orientation should not be a one-day thing where you just sit a child down and tell him or her the way forward. Before a child comes for orientation, the child already has something in mind. If what he or she has in mind does not match the societal reality, then you have to do more than just orientation. Dieudonné is writing from Boya. Good evening to you. Dieudonné, good evening, Mr. Liu. If learners get to identify programs where they can exploit best and bring out values from them as individuals, they will never be frustrated upon graduation. If students are oriented towards studying what can solve our local issues, they will have no issues on employment. If most guidance counselors do their work, students will get the proper orientation. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and everyone in this panel. I really love your program. I think it's going to bring a lot of changes in our almost frustrated minds after achieving all kinds of certificates without job. Castro Wendy is writing from Chang. As a teacher, at times I have to stop my class just to orientate these students, especially those in high school. Please, I teach, but I have a problem with the curriculum. What we lack is that positive and creative mindset. Okay, yes, let's hope it is fixed. But there is also an orientation where parents, what they valorize, what they glorify, what they see as dreams for most students is just get the matriculation number.
Okay.
Yes. Just do everything to get a matriculation number, and that is where the child fixes their distance.
All right. I'd like to also share more light on that. Now, personally, I've never written a concours. Not that I've not had the opportunity, but I've refused to. Now, for one simple reason. Now, if you have to boil down when it comes to the job market, it's actually simple. It's basically two things: problem and solution. Now, when it comes to creating value, it still boils down to the same thing: problem and solution. Now, if you can find a problem and in a particular sector and you see that you have maybe your child is going into coming to seek for an advice and is like, hey daddy, I want to maybe become a teacher, the question should be, what are you going to teach? Now, being a teacher is not the bad thing, but getting a solution to a problem which is found in the society. Now, getting a matricle for most persons in Cameroon is the ultimate. That means they find every single way to get that matricle no matter what. This is my question I'll ask you. Now, let's say you're a government teacher and you're category A, they pay you about 300,000 per month. That's no money if you have to look at it from a normal perspective. Now, the problem with us is that we get to look at, or we limit our views to our Cameroonian perspective or to our livelihood. Now, if you convert 300,000 to dollars, you see that you're earning like somebody who's doing cleaning in the US, but you've based all your life on that. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a way for persons to earn, but we should not base our lives as if that is the only source of income or our only source when it comes to orientation, in such a way that you're putting your child in that fair where if the child does not get a matricle, the child is failing in life. So it puts the children under pressure. But instead, if they can get high income skills, I know persons who are earning in thousands of dollars in this particular Cameroon for just a job they may do for maybe 2 or 3 hours and they're done. So we should be able to change our mindset, and of course we should also evolve our minds to the world job market. We should not look at only the Cameroonian sphere, because it's one thing which is certain is for those of us who are let's say who have decided to stay here in Cameroon and build a life, we understand, or we should understand, that if you've ever seen a skyscraper, you are the one to build that skyscraper in Cameroon. You should be, I've seen a Cameroonian who has skyscrapers abroad, but if you had that same skyscraper in Cameroon and you put it on rent, it will make you lots of money, because there's nothing like that here. So why don't you build the 40, 50 story buildings that are building in the US? Are you working hard here and building legacy? Now, I was in East Africa recently. I saw 10 projects happening in Kenya. Now, I was shocked to see that some families, that means you, your brother and your sister, can be the person who are in charge of such projects. But here, we have not been able to go to that maturity where, when I'm talking about projects, it's not like you're building maybe a classroom block. I'm talking about you building a railway station across East Africa, and a family sits and does that, and they would earn taxes for that for the whole of their lifetime. That means their children's children can get to inherit those things. So we have to develop our minds, or build our minds above the mentality of small, to see ourselves big, like Coach Buji Riley said a few minutes ago. Now, we have to start from, or everything starts from the mind. So once you've been able to develop your mind and tell your child like, hey, look at this problem. In Cameroon, we don't have roads. So why don't you become a civil engineer? And of course, you can go and further your studies in Harvard or wherever you're going to, but come back to this country and make sure that Cameroon has the right standards of roads, which of course are needed. Instead of you sitting and complaining like, oh, this country, there are no roads. And of course, for you to make a future, I think you should go abroad and of course go and get a living. We have to be able to see the future of Cameroon from ourselves, and of course when we see that, we can see through our children and they can also see it that way.
We are talking about mindset, we're talking about orientation. Students are going to school and the dream job is a medical doctor, a teacher, a state council. That is, once you get there, you are the summit of life. And once we see an uncle who is very rich, who has a very fat building like the one where we are today, owned by a young Cameroonian, the first thing that they say, his hands are not clean. That is, exactly. People are scared to become rich in Cameroon. And it is, to many persons, it is big wisdom to tell young people who want to engage in a career that if you are joining this career because you want to be rich, then go and look for something else. It appears we are free that is your child or your students should not go for that which brings fat money.
Mr. Leo, we have said this time without number on this podium that money is something that we were not taught. Our parents know little about money, and that's why they always advise us like that. I always quote this example of when I was small. the only time I was giving money often was when I was going to church for offerings, and it was usually 25 francs. You understand? And with the mentality that I had was that this money is to be spent. So before I enter the church, I use 5 francs, and I buy Alaska. I have intentions to go and offer 20 francs. When I enter the church, I'll still keep 10 francs. I offer 10 francs to go to eat Alaska again after church. So most of us grew up in a broke background. Sometimes we tend to valorize poverty. Galaxy will always say that a poor man is a wicked man. Being poor is a sin. We find humility in poverty. I don't know if somebody who's poor will say, I come from a humble background. They attribute poverty to humility. It's insane, and we are transmitting that to our children, which is very bad. That's why programs like this are very important. So much so that we have that exchange. We come to that understanding that we are children of the universe, and we are children of the Almighty Father, and the Almighty Father is the Father of abundance. I don't know whether we have to preach this, that we, his children, cannot lack when he has abundance. When it comes to this, I'm very upset, because somehow some people, when I was growing, some people, the only thing that people give freely are opinions. Some people drop this in my mind without me asking. Don't do this, because don't attribute yourself to these people, because if you join them, they will put you from, they will make and kill you and stuff like that. They attribute riches to ills. I don't get it, but the reality is that all of us can have access to money irrespective of what we do. The difference is how we do it. And when some people do it so well and they make a lot of money, instead for us asking questions, my brother, we start doing certain things. My son, who is just 6 years in the house, he knows Mr. Liu, he knows Buji, he knows Mr. Teke, he knows Mr. He knows all of them. I am only telling him that, hey, when I'm going to on TV, you have to watch this, because when I'm going to visit, I hold him, I'm linking him up to them, because these guys are creating value, and tomorrow we are building a huge network, and you should leverage on it tomorrow and make money. He knows the day I gave him 1,000 francs, he asked me to call Buji that he wants to buy Buji's car, and I called, and he told Buji that, hey, I have money, please bring that car. My father doesn't have a car, I want to buy a car. He already has a mentality. He will not grow up the same like me, where I had to reach a particular level and I started removing poverty and seeing riches. When we put the children in that, in that square where they are limited, and they think that, okay, he who has money is wicked, he that has money drank blood somewhere, it becomes difficult for that child to be rich. Why? Because he doesn't want to be wicked. Because my mother that I trust so much, that gave me breast milk from childhood to this day, told me that this my rich uncle is like this because the wife died earlier, the last son died, and stuff like that. These are stories we shouldn't expose to our children. It limits the scope of their thinking. Yeah,
I'm talking about mentors. I've had opportunity, though it is changing somewhat. They spoke like they mastered it all. They have worked all their lives. Maybe most have gone on retirement without a home, yes. And they are called to talk to students in the university, to talk to them, and the first thing they tell you is, if you are coming into this because you want to get rich, look for something else. Sincerely, is that not why we've remained poor?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Paul, for that, because I would like to quote the Holy Book. As a Christian, I believe in the Bible, and it is written in it saying, money answereth all things. Now, we know that the African community is one of the most religious communities in the world. But what I really want us to look at here is, when we talk about riches, I think it is, people don't want to do the needful to make money. That's the bitter truth about it. And it's because of the aspect of comfortability. Now, as I said, the average Cameroonian is very comfortable in Cameroon. When we go out, we feel like we need to work for 12 hours, 18, 20 hours. We feel like we need 2 jobs. We feel like we need this when we think about abroad. But when it is in Cameroon, we are too comfortable. And that is why we think that we should just trust God in our humbleness and we'll just see it through. And it is that same comfortability that makes people think of government matricles. Now, let's face this. Our parents advise us to get a government matricle because it worked for them. It's the truth, and it works. It gives you your daily breath. To be an entrepreneur is not easy. Now, like Mr. Teke Samuel and most of the other panelists here, I am a fan of entrepreneurship. What I'm saying is, it is really not just about having a job. To have a job is something, to get a matricle is something, but it doesn't stop you from doing other things. And that is where the real money is. That is the bitter truth. We live in a Cameroonian society where we know the government is the highest employer in this country. And every day we cry there are no jobs. And every day the government cries, you people should go back to the farms, become entrepreneurs, agro-entrepreneurs, whatever kind of entrepreneurs. Get into entrepreneurship, create jobs. And we can do this if we choose to. But the aspect is that laziness, that comfort, that we don't want to do the extra. We don't want to stress ourselves because we know handling a business, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's definitely something you need to be serious about. And that's where passion comes from. And even when it comes to our educational system, it is a problem because we have mistaken schooling for education, and it is wrong. Now, as a personal development coach, I believe you can actually learn a skill without going to school. You can improve yourself daily. You can read books. You don't need a teacher, a certificate, a degree for you to be able to do better or learn a new skill. It is wrong. But we have taken education for schooling, and that is why when we go to school we have certificates, and that is it. But why are we unemployable? Is because we're not educated. When education comes from a point of passion, I am passionate about this, I want to learn it, so I do my best to become the best at it, knowing that even if I go among others who need this, I can actually stand out. But when we see a Cameroonian society where because of comfort, we don't want to stress it out. We don't want to do the things which are stressful. We just want to get a government matricle, as we put it. Then it's because we think it is easy. It's because we think we'll have a salary monthly. But the question is, yes, it worked for our parents. But not everything that works. Because at what extent? At what extent? Rightly, as Mr. Leo said, there are a lot of them that went on retirement without building houses, without driving cars. But today we want to live the American dream. The world has become a global village. Every young man wants money. It is our parents that believed in the humility of poverty. This generation, no. Now cybercrime is everywhere. Every young man wants to drive a Benz, wants to drive a Rolls, being because we need the money. But if we don't start changing our minds, if we don't have the right orientation from our counselors, from programs like this, from our families, to definitely engage ourselves to things that would empower us when it comes to things we are passionate about and are valuable, for it to give us the right money, the kind of money we need. If we don't start building relationships, like Mr. Paul actually said, that would definitely help us, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. If we don't take it as a personal decision to develop ourselves, then we will not get there to have that money. And then we start thinking about other things to make Cameroon look bad. But I'm proud to be a Cameroonian. And I tell you, as an entrepreneur, if you decide to change your mind, to join the League of Entrepreneurs, the wind of entrepreneurship which is blowing, and you become part of them, then you start seeing Africa as a place to be. Because there are a lot of problems here who need solving. And if you solve those problems, then you make money.
You make, definitely you're going to be making money. Mr. Buji, lots still needs to be done when we talk of the relationship between students at the secondary level and the counselors. We talked about them, and many persons said it was not too good, the picture was not the best. How do we fix this so that students in forms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 can easily identify who the counselor is and how the counselor can better help them?
Okay, Mr. Leo, that's a wonderful question. Like, I'm very pleased to hear what that teacher says. At times he has to stop his class to orientate the students. That should be before the work of a counselor. I think a teacher needs to actually play that role, knowing the reality on the field, that in some schools we don't even have these counselors. So in the absence of these counselors, what happens? The teacher has to fit in. But I bet you, the other day I actually kept my car in a car wash. Then a teacher picked me up, and then we discussed it. I said, but what do you do? He said, oh, I'm a teacher. So I said, well, this time we don't have work. We don't have work, so I'm relaxing. We will have work sometime at the end of in September. That's the only time that we will have work. So all this time, you know, my notes, at least I have notes that I've been using continuously. Everything has been prepared. So my studious year was only the first year. So the way they have to prepare these notes, you have teachers who are giving notes that they I mean, notes for 7 years. It's still the same thing. Their notebook is still the same. It hasn't been updated, hasn't been upgraded. Why? Because they have limited themselves to what they were taught. But we are in a progressive society where if you lock down yourself for 1 month, you will get out and see that the world has moved ahead. What is the way forward? It is a responsibility, it should be the responsibility of every teacher to be able to orientate the students. Look at your subject, tell the students the realities, the options. Because there are some teachers that, okay, after they had this series, the only option that they could do is, okay, maybe they could teach geography. But if they were orientated well, there are other opportunities that they could have embraced. Now, as a teacher, you will not only, with the excitement of pushing students to do that very geography, but you should be able to get there and say, okay, these are the opportunities with this. These are the opportunities that you have. Because as these students are coming up, maybe from the junior secondary school level, they don't yet even have the option to make those choices. You are the teacher in the classroom. You could definitely also spot, because as a teacher, you can definitely know what a student is good at. You can help them. For instance, Mr. Leo, being an IT trainer for some time, I was able to help my niece to actually choose a career where if I come and I sit and maybe I'm coding something, she picks up. She's trying to mimic what I'm doing, or she's trying to clone it. If I'm trying to draw diagrams using standard softwares, she is using this program, Paint. There's a program, Paint, on the computer. At least it's like an art. You have the brush. You can be creative over it. She will do something that is, if you have to do a comparison, following the type of sophisticated tools that I'm using, you realize what she has done is better than what I have done. So I was able to. So when she got up and the mother was at the time, what do you think this child can do? I said, I think the child is good in. The child is good in computing. The child can become an engineer. She can do computing. She can become a web developer. She can build apps. And as we speak now, she built an app on the concept of her app is she sees a lot of field around the city where people throw dirt at everywhere. So she developed an app which shows that at this area there is a dustbin, there is a trash can where people drop these things there. So now her app concept is that she will have to do it for a company like Ezakam, where she will go and give them, so that when they leave, they know exactly that this spot there is trash here. So at the end of the day, she will still move to areas that there is she sees that this trash can is supposed to be created there, then propose and add it to that app, so that when these people who are cleaning the cities come, they can now get it. Why? Simply because I had to observe her. Definitely, I was not opportune to have someone who would tell me that, see, would you do this? This is the outcome.
Yeah, but I want us to look at the relationship that should exist. It's not been too cordial. It's not been too friendly. The students themselves, some do not even know whether they exist in their colleges, and those who even know will not know what to do to benefit from their presence.
Yeah, it's saying that children are the leaders of tomorrow, and most of the times we as parents get to feel to make these children comfortable to be able to express their own ideas. Now, the average Cameroonian child or the average African child in general, is very scared to express their emotions because they're afraid to be beaten or to be scolded at by their parents. But we as parents have that responsibility excuse me, through programs like this, to be able to help these children to bring out that inner person in them. Remember, every individual have their own point of view, and we can learn even from children, because like Coach Buji rightly said a few minutes ago, now imagine that creative person in that his niece was being destroyed. That means you get to scold her like, don't do this, don't do this.
No,
until
you have to go and study this, because I want you to
exactly. So once you've already fine-tuned that child to a particular part, it kills that creative person in them. So these children have to be able to be given the opportunity to express their own ideas. Look at them, observe them from a neutral point of view. Try to look at them from a distance, and try to always make your children to be comfortable. Like, I would give this advice especially to Cameroonian parents. Please, now let your children express their emotions. Try for them to be comfortable with you. That will also get to save you a lot of headache, because they will trust you to be able to express their fears to you in person. And once that happens, these children will be able to at least bring out that creative person in them, which would be the leaders of tomorrow we're talking about. Because great minds come from our children. Now, great minds can also come from some of us, but our children also have greatness in them. So we can actually get to groom them in such a way that they have that liberty to express their emotions, show the ideas which they think, and of course you can help them. If these ideas are wrong, you can politely correct them instead of scolding them or beating them. Now with this, of course, you can see that they have their own ideas and they look up to you to guide them towards that path. And you should be like the guide, not the whip. Because if you're like the person who is scolding at them all the time, they'll not feel comfortable bringing their ideas to you.
Now, Mr. Neva, is it time for some of these schools also to look beyond the existing counselors? Because the counselors we're talking about also got the type of education we are talking about here now.
Yes, Mr. Leo.
Is it time for schools, say BGS Moliko, to say, I want to engage Mr. Marvin, Mr.
Yes.
Martin, Mr. Buji, each school, that is,
Yes.
for you guys to do what, to motivate them, give
Yes.
them career
Yes.
lessons?
Yes, you're very correct, Mr. Leo. It was about time to actually do that, because we belong to this generation, and we are on the streets, and we understand the realities on ground, and sharing our stories with students of which we are of the same age bracket, let me put it so it relates easily. Yes, it makes it possible for them to actually see that there's a possibility for us to follow this particular pattern and become something worthwhile in life. The issue that usually happens is that our children, they live in an environment where they don't know it. Their inspiration comes from far, from our education, which is something that was imported and has never really been adjusted to fit our environment, from the heroes that we look up to. Like about 2 weeks ago, I was talking with my son and he told me that, Daddy, I want you to buy me a Spider-Man bag. You know, it took me aback. Why so far? His heroes are Spider-Men who are in the US, or imaginary things. I don't know heroes around here that can inspire them, because it starts from there. I don't know great people who are doing things around Cameroon that we can portray them and of course print them in bags and books and everything, so that our children can actually look up to them and see that, okay, these guys are making it here. Because this is where it starts, Mr. Leo, so much so that we grow up and we start Europe at Tupri. You understand why? Because when we were growing up, those we were dreaming about, those we were seeing and making us dream, were those we were seeing on TV. Meanwhile, there were people on ground that could actually talk to us and inspire us. Believe me, if the late Kaji de Fosos were to be getting in classrooms and talking to young people, they would have inspired a lot of people. Those people, I carried out a small research and I discovered that those guys did not document much about themselves, which is a great loss to Cameroon, because those guys, they achieve a lot of wealth, and there must have been a particular science that they have applied in order to achieve or to attain that level. If they had opportunities to talk to students would have at least gained some inspiration or some ideas from them, or gain at least confidence that actually they can be able to stay here, grow their ideas and become something worthwhile. But when we are educating these students with information that is foreign, and we don't get people who are thriving on ground to come talk to them, we have children who are in the class and they don't understand their society, and when they're living in a class, the picture of going abroad is what they have in their mind, and they are totally lost. So if you're watching us, look around your societies, look at young people, look at business people who are actually doing things that are worthwhile in your community, and find need to call them over, to get them over, to say, hey, why don't you, I mean for no cost. I think young guy contacted me in Boya. That guy, he contacted me, he said he's bringing together young people, and in 2022 we have to make a college tour. I was so happy, I appreciated the idea. I actually created a WhatsApp group that we are going to see how we are going to make a college tour in the whole Cameroon, to go talk to students, let them understand that where you are dreaming to go. Sometimes, so if you study the history of America, you know that there were particular American fathers who sat someday and said that if this country is supposed to change, it is going to be on our shoulders. If we die, let's die saving America. You understand? Let they understand that those countries were built by particular people, and some of us are fighting to build Cameroon, and they can join that same synergy, and someday Cameroon becomes, or Africa becomes a continent that others are also flying to or dreaming to come and live in, not only always dreaming for traveling out of the country.
Good evening, Mr. Lewis. Damien from Mutengen. What if someone have the mindset but can't put in practice what is in his mind? I'm passionate on doing my things like machine building, but face difficulties. Start doing, put in practice. Okay. Yes, just keep believing. An opportunity is going to be presented now, yes, and you will do what you want to do. But it is worse when you are not ready, you are not prepared psychologically and skill wise, and then the opportunity comes.
Mr. Lewis, it's always said you can't move within and you stand still without.
Because that's the question I was going to ask
yes.
Marvin. The
yes.
next question was, many persons have opportunities in Cameroon. They cannot deliver even with the certificates they have acquired. So many opportunities are passing many persons by. They may not necessarily tell you that I am jobless because I could not fit into this, I could not fit into this. We have not developed our skills enough.
All right, Mr. Leo. Well, I really want to do a big shout out to my father, Mr. Musima Isaac, because when it comes to this particular aspect, I think I've been blessed to have a father like that which could say, this is what you're passionate about, do go and encourage you, and which I think that's what most African parents should be looking at doing at this particular point in time. When it comes to how to deliver or the inefficiency to deliver from us Cameroonians, I believe it is the act of professionalism. As I said, there's a big difference between education and schooling. Now, we have a lot of Cameroonians who go to school and have certificates, but they were not educated. Now, because when you think about education, you think about skill. How skillful are you in this? Are you a teacher? How skillful are you? Are you an engineer? How skillful are you? Because the truth about it is, like Mr. Paul said, value makes the difference. If you are a good teacher, people will look for you. If you are a good engineer, people will look for you. So you can't tell me the opportunities are there. The issue is how skillful you are. Personally, I run a foundation, the Achieve Your Dream Foundation. It is based on skill education, that skill acquisition and wealth creation. Now, what this is into is simply re-educating Cameroonians. Now, you may have had your certificate, you may be a banker, an accountant, whatever, but what we are saying is get a profitable skill which is sustainable. Get a skill that can earn you money, become good at it. Now, we give out skills like, we have looked at the Cameroon economy as of now, and according to the world standards, what's actually giving money? We have young girls, which every girl does makeup. That's what's funny. But when we come to perfecting that skill, we have people who have decided to become makeup artists. And you hear somebody does a makeup for 25,000, 30,000 just for 30 minutes painting a brush on a face. Now that's a skill any girl can comfortably learn and be happy doing. But because of the fact that we are so much in our zone, in our comfort zone, we don't want to push forward to add to what we have. So in other words, it is not about what you have learned or studied in school. It's not about what you were educated in school, but definitely the skill which you can actually offer and how good you are. So if we are giving out skills, we think of things like, for example, forex trading, web development, graphic designing, makeup, hairdressing. We talk about manicure, pedicure. Those are simple skills which you can definitely learn, and you get to open a business towards by the time you have a mindset of professionalism, because those are the things which are trading right now. Agriculture, farming, those are the things which people should get into. So I think it is more of a problem of perfecting the skills or what you studied rather than having a certificate.
Okay. Hello, good evening, Mr. Leo. I love your program. It's very interesting. I would like to tell you guess that I was so proud of Africa and Cameroon. In particular, my friend proposed that we travel to Dubai, and I refused and told him that I was going to make it in Cameroon. That was in 2014. Do you know that all I worked for went down during this crisis period in the northwest and southwest of Cameroon? Now can I still be proud to stay in this country while my friends are out there making it? Kundang is writing from Boyarut. Okay, yeah. Unfortunate there. Daisy writing from Kumba says, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Most Cameroonians don't bother about orientation and they have skills, but don't use them because they believe in matricule. Cameroonians' curriculum should be modified and there should little or no line between French and English education. Daisy is writing from Kumba. Mr. Buji, not all teachers use old notes. There is no way an English literature teacher will use old notes. Besides, their textbooks change always. There are teachers who prepare notes every academic year. Good evening to you, Daisy. I don't know whether you were touched by that. I don't know. Yes. Is Mr. Kaiser for us to build up our country? Let's our government love her citizens, love creativity, and reduce taxes to us. Thanks. So you're writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Mr. Kaiser. Oops, very long. Good evening, Mr. Liu and others on board. I'm so pleased with the program. I love what one of you there just said about parents not letting children know some sort of negative issues in the society. That's absolutely correct way to bring up children positively. Maxell is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you all in the studio. Please, parents should learn how to support their children's ideas of career in life and not force them to do only what they want, because no one can do something which he or she is not doing while wholeheartedly and succeed. This makes many children become failures in life and their parents start blaming them. Bisong Rollins, writing from Bonaberry in Douala. Greetings to you all on my Media Prime. Excellent topic. I think one of the problems is that which a parent will want to realize his or her accomplished dream on the child. Parents should see in the children that they are actually good at and give them the necessary support. Lucia is writing, thank you. Days old we had teachers by calling, and today the quest for matricule. This has a negative impact on the students likewise. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you on the panel. I love your program, but I'm so worried about the theme. I hear some talk of right mindset, but I don't think that it's the problem we do face today in Cameroon. I think what we should be talking about today is opportunities. There are talented youths out there with good orientation, but no opportunities. Lovett is writing from Limbe. Yes, we are saying the same thing. Mr. Liu, good evening to your team. One of our greatest problem is that we have failed to orientate our children on the existing profession and what it takes to get there. So they keep getting into professions that are not needed in the job market. Can you imagine that an advanced level graduate interested in health domain told me a nurse function is as a cleaner in the hospital? Okay, that a nurse functions as a cleaner in a hospital. Mark is writing from Yaoundé. Yes, that's also the orientation. Huh? Good evening, Mr. Liu and guests. Kudos to all of you. You are doing to educate Cameroonians. What we really need is and complete revision of our school program and make it focused, oriented, without which, irrespective of the level of guidance, the rate of unemployment will still be high. Derek Walla is writing from Chang. Good evening to you, Derek, always watching the program. Now, Mr. Buji, we are talking about orientation. Orientation for what? Cameroon, African, or the international market? Do we have the mindset of knowing that, okay, if I am going to do anything, I should be ready to, because the world is a global market. You said there are persons living in Cameroon who are working for companies out there. Should that not be the perspective?
Yes, Mr. Liu, I think the question is actually timely, because if what you are studying is what do you actually want to become? How does it fit in your community? how does this fit in Cameroon, how does this fit in Africa, and how does it fit globally? There are some skills that wherever you are, you find yourself with them, they can put food on your table. And there are some skills that they only end around your environment. So if we will have to become a country that will be envied out there, then we actually need to do things from a global perspective. Look at, for instance, the ideology of a company like Tex Global. Like, we even look at the global in it. It says that the model that we built, it can actually fit in any country and in any context. What if we had decided that we're going to just program this, let's just, you do something like, say, you want to do like a restaurant, a local restaurant with African foods. Then we also tailor it out to, in the Southwest, many people eat ero and water for agari, and we make this there, which means that our restaurant might not fit, or it will not fit in Europe. So when you are studying, if you want to be, for instance, you want to be a chef or
but the world is global.
a nutritionist.
We have African communities.
Yes.
Out there, yeah.
Yes. Now this is it, Mr. Leo. You want to be a cook. Let me just use it the word that way. Now all you studied was how to prepare the food in your village, the type of traditional dish. You don't think about what if these Chinese are going to be coming to be doing their activities as usual in Cameroon. Can you prepare something for them? Can you prepare something for the Frenchman? Can you prepare something for the American? It means that if your study is just limited to operating a restaurant in Cameroon, then definitely you are limiting yourself. What happens if you find yourself in Europe? What happens if you find yourself in Nigeria? Can you fit into that context? So it's what you are studying. Is it relevant in any other country than Cameroon? The world is becoming, it's not like becoming, it's already a global village, which means that whatever skills you're acquiring, they should be universal. Can you teach English in Rwanda? Can you teach English in Nigeria? Or you can only teach it in Cameroon? So why orientation is geared towards you becoming your best self, becoming the best that you could ever be, that should be the objective. It should also consider your global acceptability. If you can solve global problems. Because if your education can only solve local problems, then you are going to definitely generate a local income. But if you can solve global problems, definitely you are going to generate global income. And that's how vast it becomes. Mr. Leo, something touched me when we're talking about orientation, mindsetting, and the rest. I thought about something, how we could, when the Chinese president said this year, he called the big people are making it in China, and say this amount of Chinese have to go out of poverty. By this time, the first set was about 300 million Chinese to become millionaires. That is a dream of a country. Now, that's why when you move to around our community, there are skills that they left China with, is to come and solve our problem. Which means that whatever they studied there, they had us in mind. The other day, we were passing through this, they call it Marché des Chinois. Why one of them is taking a bucket. This plastic. So he snapped. Should I snapping them and sending? So I then said, this man is surely sending that this is what these people need. And definitely they are going to produce it. Which means they have a global mindset of coming to solve our problems here. Now, what our students studying? Our students want to maybe get to this
to go to China and teach.
Yes, go to China and teach. While the Chinese are looking on how to make money out of us. I look at it again, and we're talking about some recent the amount of money that the Westerners, the amount of money that the white man has taken out of Cameroon in 2020. 2020, 2021 is huge. While statistics, a company had gone out of Cameroon with over 100 billion. Why? Because the mindset, our mindset, what we're oriented towards is that these people, we can trust these people, but we cannot trust ourselves.
Okay. Good things, Mr. Liu. Wrong educational orientation has really landed many of these youths today jobless. Why? Because before they are being enrolled, be it in the state private universities, most of these institutions don't orientate these children as compared to the Western world, and at the end they finish their studies without having a job, and they will tell you after my 2 or 3 years at the university. Okay, Mr. Schneider writing from Bonaberi in Douala. Good evening to you, Mr. Schneider. Good evening to all of you in the studio. Our educational system is not serious. That is why we are jobless in Cameroon. Andrew is also writing from Bonaberi. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The program is really nice, especially for those who are still starting their lives. I mean those who just got the advanced level. I really appreciate. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Everyone in the panel, is Castro Wendy writing from Chang. What can you say about someone who have passion and love to create jobs, but himself and others, but he is hindered on finance considering the nature of our country? Yeah, it's better to be ready. Good day, Mr. Leo. Please, is it possible for me to be an actress in Cameroon? Yes, you can be an actress in Cameroon if persons like Cindy Imade are acting in Cameroon. Persons like Stephanie Tum are acting in Cameroon. Definitely you can act. Good evening to you great minds on board. I am Simon Kinge from Boya. Please, I could use some mentorship from the gentleman in the suit. Please, can I get his number? Please, I don't know, there are two gentlemen. Yes, just call the numbers on the screen. They will connect you to one of them. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love this program. I am Buji Kindness from Yaoundé. Honestly, children's orientation in relation to their passions and their creative thinking is very important in today's changing world, as these children tend to excel very well and become productive in their fields. Thanks to Mr. Buji's observation, the niece is doing what she loves and knows best: software engineering. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Stanley from Douala. We don't have good teachers in school, no equipment, no nothing. But if you ask a lower seed student to show you certain chemicals or experiment, the child wouldn't know because there was lack of equipment. Good evening to all in the house. I just love the program today, but you guys keep mentioning children with parents. What of those in the streets? It's Kmer writing from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, if I may ask, at what level can one really need to be educated to be that great as we are talking? I'm sure Mr. Yes, they are going to tell you. Mr. Leo, we should not forget that bottlenecks are put in place by the government that has rendered so many vibrant entrepreneurs redundant. Let's not forget corruption, political problems, tribalism, high taxes. Most of those successful entrepreneurs in Cameroon know someone in the leading team. From Jurine in Boya. Yes, I'll advise you to also get to know somebody in the leading team so that you can do what they are doing. It's true now?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this if everybody goes by these excuses, nobody will ever do anything. Yes, but somebody asks a question. At what level of education should one
consider mentorship?
No, that you think you can do what we are talking about.
I think
do you need to get advanced level?
Starting from O level, I think our discussion basically here starts from O level. Now, because it all begins with your ordinary levels. Now, for you to tailor yourself, it starts from whether you're going. That's where the confusion starts. Whether your father is saying, or your parents, or like the person said, or your sponsors. Let's use the word sponsor so that it goes general for everybody. is saying you should do the arts or the sciences. So it starts from O levels. And of course, you can then groom yourself in the particular field you want, and of course, from there you grow up. Now, of course, the persons at the O level have a different concern from those in the advanced level, because those persons are looking into specialization and getting into different fields of life. And the person who has a degree also have their own problem, because they are looking at getting a job. And of course, after getting a job, you know that of course you're set in that path for life. That's where the concours comes in, and of course, which part are you going to take? So it starts from what you want to do, but all this begins from your ordinary levels. I think so.
Yes, but we are left with 20 minutes. I want us to give our younger brothers and sisters what they ought to be doing, but a wake-up call to the schools to beef up their counseling units if possible, if they don't have, because for government schools it is the government that transfers. If you don't have, they should do something. And for private schools?
Okay, I think I'll go first. The first thing I would like to advise our younger brothers and sisters at home is that, remember, education, or whatever education you have gotten and you're getting, is just a base, right? Like Mr. Marvin rightly said a few minutes ago, that being educated is different from actually getting schooled, because you can get schooled in different fields of life. That means, for example, you can be trained to school and you have a degree in marketing, but you find yourself being a nurse in the future because you decided to find an interest in that particular field of life. I've seen that happen a lot, especially here in Cameroon, where somebody who has done arts all through their lives decide and see that this thing does not go well, goes back, and from the small money they've gotten, go through a nursing school, and of course they are able to come out as a nurse and get a job as a nurse, and from there on build their lives. So my greatest advice to you as a Cameroonian is, don't base your life on what you have studied in school and just base your life there. Try to re-educate yourself. We're talking about financial education here. Those things they don't teach in school. Nobody will teach you about how to make money in school. You have to learn it on your own. There are books which are written on it. Don't be lazy. Instead of you sitting and watching telenovelas, sit and read these books. There are different books that can be recommended to you, financial books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all those books, Business of the 21st Century. Learn those books on your own, right? The Billionaire's Mindset is one of the books which you can also get to look through, that is also from our own Cameroonian authors. Now, also get mentors from Cameroon. Look at and start seeing Cameroon as your home, because there is no place like home, trust me. If your brothers abroad can tell you the truth, you know that they are there and they're missing arrow back home, right? Because home is home at the end of the day. So no matter where you go to, remember that your home is your home, and start seeing yourself as the change Cameroon needs instead of the change that you need from Cameroon, right? Once you fine-tune your minds in that way, you'd see that you'll be able to cause the change which is needed. And for the schools, please, we should try to also revise our curriculums. That means, as teachers, you have the responsibility to go to the internet, look at what is happening in the world today, look at what is happening in our current different job markets, and what is happening across Africa. You would see that there is the change which is needed in your own lesson notes which you're preparing to teach the students. Learn those things and you can add them into your curriculum, not necessarily changing the curriculum, but adding the necessary values which are needed for these children to get the things which are needed, and of course to re-educate them in that particular light.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. Thanks, and very interesting. I'm watching live from Mutengene. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all in the studio. It's a nice program and I'm enjoying it. Kmer is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you all. It's Lionel Robbins from Douala. What can someone with advanced level certificate do, especially A2 students who cannot sponsor himself again? Okay, just call us. Yeah, the numbers are there. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. Please, what is your take on this issue where some school proprietors in the course of campaigning for their schools promise students opportunities abroad, and in the long run they don't get there? John Defoe is writing from Yaoundé. That is bad. That's bad publicity. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Mr. Ta Elliot from Yaoundé. I so much appreciate your program. God bless the entire team. Please, I suggest that parents and teachers start encouraging specialization right from the basic level. Doing so many subjects at a time confuses children. So much. Greetings to you all. My name is Lampak. So I'm from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Lampak. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Great program. Wish my brothers in the studio give way forward on how we can make ourselves better rather than blaming the system. Bomb is writing from Douala. I'm not sure anybody's blaming the system here. It's been about the way out. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Leo. I want to talk to my brothers who are out there, and I want to use my example. You know, keeping a good conduct with your parents is a beginning point, because if your parents see you to be recalcitrant, you are not responsible, they will have to impose what you have to do in life, because they will understand that you are not responsible.
They don't trust.
They don't trust you. They don't trust adjustment. So whatever thing you want to do, you can't do it at the end of the day, because the results, previous results show that you don't understand life. That's the underlying factor. If I'm about to do anything in this life and I talk to my mother and she says, okay, you can do it, I will do it, and she always supports me. Truth be told, I shout out to my mother if she's watching, Mama Sabina. She always supports my ideas, and when she supports them, nothing can stop me. Why? Because over the course of time, I've proven to her that I can be responsible. If you're out there and your parents cannot even look at you eyeball to eyeball and even agree with your ideas, it's because the track record shows that you are not honest. You have, whenever you say you are going to anti-A, you find yourself in the quarter of anti-B, and you don't expect, okay, you tell them that you want to study banking, they will trust you. Meanwhile, your track record is bad. It doesn't go that way. Secondly, I'll turn to the parents. You must be friendly with your children. You see these 21st century children, we who grow up, we were beaten and corrected, and we follow the right track. Children today, when you beat them, they take the wrong track instead. I don't know how that has happened, but there's a particular shift that has happened. That when you beat a child not to do something, they do it again and again and again. I don't know how that is happening, but a good parent must be able to be friendly with the child so that the child is open to share with you. If the child has a worry I can't share with you, know that that's a problem. And if there's anybody else out there that the child is open to and shares the thing to, that the person is not of good morals and the person educates your child, you are going to have a bad child tomorrow. That will not be because the child was bad, but because you did not create that environment. Because you have that responsibility to create that conducive environment where you can come back from work and you sit and your child runs to you, hey, that this is how I had my day, this is the difficulty I had in school, and this is it. And then you tend to advise the child. The child is going to trust you more, and in the course of time, you are going to agree with the child, and you groom your child and you grow up tomorrow, as the Bible says. A successful child is pride of the father, and you certainly be very proud tomorrow. And then let me look at the side of the school. Innovation is very important, and as a school, if you are not innovating while the environment is changing, you'll be giving out knowledge to students that is outdated, which is not correct. You must embrace innovation like part of your I mean, every year, every school year, you should be able to innovate. And I also want to call on the government to make sure that they change the system to fit in the advancement of the world. Because during COVID, I saw advances from the government where they adopted advanced learning methods. You know,
okay.
we saw distance learning through the TV. We saw they encourage that. But truth be told, go see our school programs as this year is starting. They have dropped them back. COVID caused other countries to embrace that, and they are developing it and going. But our country must have dropped it. And when they drop it like that, we are going to be studying why we are not feeding in the global stage where we are supposed to belong.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. All said is obviously good, but what will happen if the syllables be reviewed to meet the changing technology? Alexander is writing from Tico. Good evening, Mr. Leo. There are so many bright children out there without sponsors, and they want to be educated. How can you orientate them so that they can be educated? Thomas Martin is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Thomas Martin. Let me take a few messages. Good evening to you all, Mr. Leo. I love this your program. Batty Eric is writing from Andop. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Stanley from Douala. We don't have good teachers. Okay, you say, Mr. Leo, can you help me with Mr. Abuji's number? It's Mr. Abuji. Request for the number after the program on WhatsApp. I'll send it to you. Good. today, Mr. Liu, please, how can I be an actress in Cameroon because I don't have any connection? I don't know where you live. If you are in Boya or in Bamenda, you should be very alert. There are calls for audition. Yeah, they are done in Yaoundé, in Douala, in Bamenda, and in Boya. So anytime there is a call for an audition, you go there and you perform. And those who intend to produce the film, they find you right and qualified for a role. I'm sure they will give you a role to play in whatever movie they're planning to produce. Yes, Mr. Buji, what should be done? How do we get many more of you guys actually help students out there?
Well, Mr. Leo,
you'll only be coming to talk on TV like that for people to follow you?
Mr. Leo, before that, I think I will have to give a contribution to what my colleagues have said concerning
the way forward.
The way forward. First, the individuals, now the parents, have a role to play. They need to actually look around. They need to find out what is working in this current dispensation, so that they can be able to help their children, guide their children. Their children look upon them. That we cannot minimize that. Where you have limited knowledge, definitely you can seek the help of those who you can seek help from experts on this. Now, to the students, because we are talking, I'm not limited to ordinary, advanced level, or even with your PhD certificate, you need to be a student of time, which means you need to get to the internet, find out, first of all, find out why with this certificate, why am I not employed? Why is this certificate just a useless piece of paper to me? Now, to the government, they are doing, I must acknowledge that there has been a change, because if you look through the syllabus, you get something like technical and vocational studies. Those are things that were not in our time. Maybe it would have been better, because the government has realized that, or those in charge of education, they have realized that there are a lot of unemployable youths out there, and that is part of the problem, is the system. And to a larger extent, there is the need for us to update our outdated educational system. Obviously, it's outdated because the things that actually matter, they're not giving them the importance that they deserve. And back to what your question of how do they get us involved? By the way, this initiative, talking here, is already showing the ability, that is already showing the willingness that we are ready to help. So you just need to get to us. By the way, Shape Academia had already gone a step further. To actually, those who have gone out with a lot of frustration, you get to Shape Academy, you have to get back, you sit down, and they help you to rediscover yourself so that you can be able to change the narrative. It will interest you to know that as we are talking now, Shape Academy is bringing in forex trading to teach to people. Those are high income skills. Shape Academy is talking about solar energy installation, which are things that in a few years ago we had nothing about. Solar energy it was like a rocket science, but now in remote areas, nearly every family has a solar lamp. In some areas, you have a village called me around Limbe, somewhere towards where you have towards is it Bakassi area, as they are going. But I'm just forgetting after Limbe there is a place there. Idinao. So they said they depend on solar energy.
It's after Idinao. I don't know whether it's somewhere around Bokoso.
Yeah.
Behind the village. I went there. I did a documentary when they were installing the entire village. I was there. Somewhere on the mountain.
So they called, like, they needed somebody who could actually come and help them actually extend that, because they want to get it to other villages. Now look at that. Those are the things that are needed now. So what are you studying? Because if you are doing maybe electrical, power systems and the rest, you need to think about things like that. So we are talking about agricultural engineering. We are talking about food processing, packaging. Those are opportunities. But mind you, a Cameroonian who is studying is not looking at the opportunity in agriculture. You don't know that. What about the value chain? You don't see the opportunities there. And that's why us at Text Global, we take these things we actually try to study the things that have been ignored and see how we can do it in an exceptional way. Schools, at least the government, actually in some schools they are provided counselors. What happens to children who are going to go on in private schools? Which means that they are looking for teachers, they are looking for students to take them in. They need to consider the fact that there must be a special attention given to orientation. They need to engage a counselor. If they want to engage us, when we are ready to actually help through the process, because we have actually worked out something. There is nobody who has gone to Shape Academy, come out and has any complaint to maybe give that the government has done that. In fact, those ideas are wiped out of your mind. You need to know that you are your own savior. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and your crew. Wrong educational orientation has led many jobless. This is because students are oriented the secondary level probably from 4, forgetting that a bended stick is difficult to be straightened. I think we should train our children when they are still in the basic level. This will make the child grow with the mentality, knowing that they want to become, because children assimilate and digest quickly. In the secondary level, students' minds are not focused. Most of them are really thinking of their father's inheritance rather than focusing on his dream. In addition, the continued existence of witchcraft in our society has rendered many of our youth jobless. Julius is writing from Yaoundé. Yes, we should also go to church. So that, yeah. Greetings to you and the team. I am following up with the program. Tell the person wishing to join the film industry to call. There's somebody who says she wants to act. If you are watching, someone is saying that you should call 677-43-9412. If you want to act, you said you said you wanted to be an actress in Cameroon. So someone is saying that you should write to this number, or you call this number 677-43-9412. Okay. I am Tikum T. Akuru, filmmaker and photojournalist in Bomenda. So just call that number. Yes, that is also the connection. No? Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, there are young people out here like me. We have good idea for business, but there is no platform we can deal with projects of like agriculture and work today. Thanks. Writing and watching from Mutengene. I don't know. I'm not sure you have been watching this program, because if you have projects in agriculture, these guys are Text Global. They are specialized in that. So if you have been watching, you should have gotten to them to sail you through them. Call the numbers under your screen. They will help you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Fanji Brenda from Yaoundé. I like your program. Thank you very much, Fanji. Good evening, sir. The man who talked about a technical and vocational training, may God bless him. Agendia Sylvester is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Agendia. Good evening, Mr. Leo. How do you explain a situation where a student fails advanced level and passed just religious, and all her life she has been studying arts in ordinary level, and she is now a nursing with religious? Why? I don't know what. A nurse, maybe a nurse with religious studies.
Yes, but I think that you can always change. Hello, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. For our children to meet up today's competitive world, we need to start from our homes with our children by following them up, trying to find out what their interest is. This will help us to mold them and create a solid educational foundation from the basics. That study the child and what they are best in. from kindergartens and train them from there. Amukete Raphael writing from Boya. Greetings to you all in the studio. There are many helpless children that want to go to school but no one to help them. What can be done to help the one children? I don't know. Victory from Hope for the future in Bomenda. We are definitely going to be ending here, except there is an announcement from the Text Global. Is there any announcement?
No, definitely we don't have an announcement, but we are open to. We are doing our activities and we are accommodating every Cameroonian who actually wants to move their future ahead, especially those who want financial freedom, those who want to actually upgrade themselves. Text Global is that opportunity that is available for every Cameroonian. Many Cameroonians who are part of Text Global are testifying to this. It's the time has reached where we need to stop complaining and start acting. We need to take responsibility for our future and our financial future.
Good evening to you once more, Mr. Leo. Just want to say your programs are the best. I am learning a lot from all of your programs. More grace to you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. And as Mr. Buji rightly said, think Text Global, you think the future, and of course we're here to help us the Cameroonian way to get to understand our own story and of course get to change our lives.
Mr. Buji, thank you for coming. No, Mr. Neba, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you so much, televiewers. I just want to say that whatever thing you are doing out there, make sure you fashion it and be the best, and your clients are going to come right there and give you a lot of money, because there's a lady that's doing juice here in Bonamusa, and whenever we come around, we want to drink her juice. I'm sure she's waiting at the reception there to give us some juice, because her juice is the best. So be the best in whatever thing you are doing, and clients will run after you.
Hi, Mr. Leo. Good evening to the gentlemen on the panel. I am V. Chuye in Bomenda. I wish to contribute to the program now showing. I think there is a serious problem with teachers training today, which is the result of falling educational standards. How can a badly trained teacher train a child well and orientate him in the right direction? Another thing is that from onset, educational policy does not focus on the future of education and how this will affect jobs or joblessness. The very poor educational orientation is the result of many unskilled literates and skilled illiterates. Do you know what a skilled illiterate employing unskilled literates? Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo, and thank you, My Media Prime, for having us. Thank you, televiewers. We are here because you are there. Remember, passion and value. Those are the two things you need to take into consideration, and definitely we'll keep doing what we are doing as much as you can have us. So you can always get to us when it comes to how to reach out to people, when it comes to mentorship and everything. The numbers are out there in your screen. You call and we'll see how to help you or direct you to the people who can. Thank you.
Okay, we want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program. Eli, thank you for producing, to you, Tebon Christian, and Bertrand Noel, and the other guys working at the broadcasting. I say thank you to you, and not forgetting you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising what we have been doing out here and are still doing. They say today is Vendredi soir, huh? So enjoy the weekend with moderation. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.